Hi everyone, it's Christine here from christinestampinspot.blogspot.com, and today I want to share with you a card that I have made using the Among the Branches stamp set from the brand new 2015 holiday catalog from Stampin' Up. Yesterday, if you follow my blog, you'll see I posted this card, which uses this stamp set along with the textured Into the Woods embossing folder, Textured Impressions embossing folder. So today we're going to make this one, which is a fall card from the same set. And again, this is the set. It's called Among the Branches, and I just love this set. So let's go ahead and get started. Now all you would do is you would take whatever size paper that you want. I'm using Very Vanilla cardstock, and I cut this to, let me think, I cut this to 3 3/4 by 5. So it's just going to be my bottom layer here, only 3 layers on this card. Okay, and so I already went ahead and cut it, and then I put it in my embossing folder, and you just run it through the Big Shot like this. I don't have enough camera space, unfortunately. This is just a camera that I use that also has a recording function, so it's just not big enough to bring the Big Shot over here and show you. But it's really simple. You just run this right through, and then you get this gorgeous tree, these gorgeous trees with all of these branches. And then the idea is that you can take, you know, ornaments for Christmas if you wanted to, or the leaves, which we're going to do today. You've got spooky eyes and an owl and a bird for Halloween. And then you have these great sentiments as well as a freestanding tree. So it's a really great stamp set. So the first thing that I did was after I ran this through my Big Shot, I took some of my crumb cake ink and a little sponge dauber, and I'm just going to use the ink, the sponge dauber and the ink to just sort of highlight the trees just a little bit. We don't need a whole lot of ink for this, just a little bit. So I'm just going to put the sponge dauber on my finger and then kind of stamp it over here first, and then we're just going to run it along the trees here very quickly. There's no special way to do this. You're just see how that kind of just adds some emphasis to the indentations of the tree. It's just a little technique that I decided to use, and I just fell in love with it. I just loved how it really enhanced the trees. Now you could just leave this blank, you know, not do this step rather, and just have the trees embossed on the cardstock, and that is totally fine. There is nothing wrong with that in the slightest. It would be your card and however you want to do it. Like I said, I just liked the look that this gave my card. So that's why I decided to do this. So let me just get these trees here. And again, like I said, not a whole lot of ink. The crumb cake ink is very light brown. I think it's one of the lightest, if not the lightest one that we have. So I'm not going for huge amounts of ink here. I'm just going for a subtle little look that just really brings out these indentations. Okay, we're on our last tree now. I just love this new embossing folder, and of course it's the large 6x6 size too, so you can make, you know, a big scrapbook page with this, or you can fit a rather large piece of paper in these new size embossing folders, which is just great. There's so many different ideas running through my head on how to use this. I'm so excited. Okay, so you see how I've done that? Again, just with the crumb cake ink, we're going to go ahead and close up our crumb cake stamping pad. We won't need that anymore for this project, and I'm going to set my sponge dauber aside here. Now, the next step is, let me pull out the stamp set again. There's 3 different leaves to choose from, and I think I'm just going to use these 2. And I'm going to use orange and cherry, so pumpkin pie, cherry cobbler, and a little bit of daffodil delight. So I'm going to start with my pumpkin pie. And this is so much fun. Watch this, you guys. This is so much fun. So we're just going to ink this up in our pumpkin pie. And then quite literally, just stamp your little leaves off the branches. How cute is that? Can you see that? So much fun, so super simple, but yet it's one of those cards that looks like you spent a long time working on it, and it's just so super simple because of the wow factor that it really has with it. My favorite kind of cards, those that don't take a super long time, but have a really, really gorgeous impact. Okay, I think that's probably about it for our pumpkin pie. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring my other leaf out with the Daffodil Delight stamp pad. And we're going to add some yellows. And again, we're just gonna go from the branches here. And that's what is so great about these photopolymer stamp sets too, is you can see right through it, so you know exactly where your image is going. And even with this camera in front of me, it's still relatively simple to stamp these images. It's so much fun. I'm just gonna turn my stamp just a little bit and have one coming out of this little limb right up here, like that. And let me do one more right about here. Okay, so that's about it with that one. Now let me grab, again, I know I say this almost every video. I would normally use my Stampin' Scrub to clean my stamps, but I'm just, for the purposes of the video, I'm just gonna wipe this one off really quick with a baby wipe. Okay. Now I'm gonna take this leaf that I did the pumpkin pie, and I'm gonna pull out my cherry cobbler, and we're just gonna put a few red leaves as well, because of course fall is full of so many beautiful colors for us. So let's see here. Let's put one, how about right here? And right here, going like this. I didn't turn those quite how I wanted, so there's a little bit of an indent there from the tree, but that's okay. Sometimes you learn as you go with these things. But you guys get the idea. I'm gonna put one up here. Am I still on the camera frame? Yeah. Okay, and I think I'm gonna do one more coming down here, like so, and then one more here. Okay, so that's that. We'll go ahead and put our stamp pads, close up our ink real quick, because we know what'll happen if we don't. Klutzy me will get something stuck in the ink pad, I assure you. Okay. All right, so our next step is I'm going to use this sentiment stamp from the Among the Branches stamp set. It says Autumn Wishes and Tasty Dishes. And this is the type of card that I might, you know, attach to a goodie bag of cookies or apple pie or something, you know, that I'm making for a friend or a neighbor. And I just like to sometimes put little cards if I'm not going to do a tag, or even if I am going to do a tag. Sometimes I just want, you know, a little card to go with it. And this is the perfect sentiment for that. So I'm going to pull back out my cherry cobbler ink, and I am going to ink up this gorgeous sentiment. Remember, when you're working with these photopolymers, you want to make sure you have it nice and inky. So make sure that you have ink evenly spread and you have something under your mat, your paper, and then you just stamp down and lightly press, and then you pull it straight back up. Beautiful, right? So gorgeous. Now these sentiments from the stamp set coordinate perfectly with our 2-inch circle punch, and ignore these, I was practicing earlier, sorry about that. So to open the punch, you just push down on that, and then the punch opens up, and then you are free to punch whatever you like out of there. So I'm just going to put this through here, line it up exactly where I want it, and punch. Beautiful, right? How cute is that? Okay, so now we just have to put our cards together. So I already punched out the next size circle. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bring that over here, and I'm gonna use my snail adhesive to quickly put this on the pumpkin pie base. Okay, and we'll set that aside for a minute. And I'm bringing cherry cobbler cardstock over because I'm going to mat my pretty trees on the cherry cobbler cardstock. So let me go ahead and get this all stickied up with adhesive here. Okay, and then I'm going to center this over the cherry cobbler. And I just cut the cherry cobbler layer 1/4 of an inch larger. So it's going to be 5 1/4 by 4 is the measurements of that. Now before I bring over the card base, I want to add my twine. And I am using this gorgeous cherry cobbler thick baker's twine. I just love it. So I'm going to wrap this around 3 times along the bottom of my card here. So 1, 2, 3. I'm not super worried about it being neat right at the moment. I'm just trying to get it wrapped here first. Let's see if I can cut it. Didn't bring my paper snips over here, so those aren't the best scissors for cutting that. Okay, so let's go ahead now and flip this over and get some adhesive back here on these little strips of twine. What I sometimes do is just put it down like that, and then that way you can bring this over and you have something to stick it to, if that makes sense. Scotch tape would be so much easier. I keep forgetting to get Scotch tape every time I go to Target or Walmart. So anyway, I have to do it this way for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the rest of this filled with adhesive. I'm going to do one right here for that little piece and one right there for that. Okay, now I'm going to bring this card base over. This is the Crumb Cake cardstock, and I'm just going to layer this on top of the crumb cake and fold it. It's a normal standard size card base, so when it's folded it measures 5.5 by 4.25. Again, just each layer is 1/4 of an inch bigger on each side than the next. Okay, now let me grab my paper snips because it's easier to cut this twine. I'm going to make a little bow here, so I'm going to pull off just a little bit more twine. Snip that. And then this is sort of a kind of a cheater method way to make a bow. I'm just going to pull this over here. And then I'm tying this like I would tie my shoelaces. So it's nothing super fancy, but it gets the job done, and it'll turn into a cute bow when it's finished. So and then usually once I get the actual loops tied, I have to play with it for a minute to get the loops the size that I want them. That's pretty good there. So again, nothing fancy. I'm not an expert bow tire or anything. I see some projects and the bows are absolutely gorgeous, but that's not me. I just like a simple little bow on my project. So there's that. Now, the last step is to take our sentiment panel here, and I'm going to flip it over and grab some dimensionals. Probably, I think 3 would probably do it. Just peel the backings off real quick. Okay. And I'm just going to stick this down here. Just like that. And you're done. Super simple card that took maybe all of 10 minutes to create, and it's so cute. Whoever gets this will really love it and think you spent a lifetime on it when you really only spent a few minutes. So here's the original one that I did, and you can see in my original one I also added some green leaves as well. So you can play around with the colors, and then here's the one that I did for Halloween. So I hope that this inspired you. You can get the Among the Branches stamp set along with the embossing folder that coordinates with it in the Stampin' Up! 2015 Holiday Catalog, and you can get it as a bundle. So if you buy both of these together, you actually get 15% off. So it's a really good way to save up some money and get both items that coordinate perfectly with each other. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for stopping by. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.